Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a new video. This evening I'm very excited as I'm off to Ham Yard Hotel for a very exclusive screening of Everybody's Talking About Jamie the movie. I'm very excited. It's a fan screening, going to be surrounded by all of the biggest Jamie fans. This was my second time seeing the movie, so I feel very lucky to be able to actually see it on the big screen this time, because when I reviewed it, it was on my laptop screen. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it on the big screen with the big speakers, with all of the fans. It's going to be so much fun. So without further ado, let's go to the Ham Yard Hotel. I'm going to try and show you bits and bobs and pieces here and there, but of course if you want to find out more about the movie, you can actually watch my review when I saw it, and I reviewed it for Amazon, so be sure to check that out. But for now, I'm going to get off to London in my new floral shirt from River Island, which I love. It's got a touch of pink as well, to see Everybody Talking About Jamie the movie with friends. I'm excited, so let's go. Woo!
Joining us tonight for this very special screening of Everybody's Talking About Jamie. We're here to celebrate the film's upcoming launch on Amazon Prime Video on the 17th of September. What a beautiful venue we're in tonight. I just want to start by saying a massive thank you to the team at Amazon Prime Video and the Academy PR for making tonight possible. Can we give them a huge round of applause? That'll be the last time I'm ever on a stage thanking the Academy. So I should probably introduce myself. I'm Matthew, and for the past 3.5 years I've run the fan page for the West End musical Everybody's Talking About Jamie with my friend Grace. We've been lucky enough to host the fan events and interview some of the cast, but unfortunately COVID has caught up with Grace, and so she's devastated to not be here tonight. But we're sending her lots of love and well wishes, and you guys know how hard she's worked for this. In this room, along with some influencers from the theatre world, we have 150 of the original core Jamie fans who managed to sell out this event within a minute, which is crazy. You guys are amazing, so tonight it's all about you. Do stick around, because after the film we have a very special Q&A with the writer of Jamie, the one and only Tom MacRae. Woo! Don't forget to tag #JamieMovie, @JamieMovie and @Prime Video UK in your posts if you took any pictures during the drinks reception, of each other, or of the Q&A. And please do spread the word if you love the film as much as we do. So I'm not going to keep you waiting too much longer, but before we start we have a very special video message from Grace. The screenplay and the lyrics, Tom MacRae.
Hello. Did you like it? Yeah. What was the best bit? Thank you.
Well done for a start. I mean, that was incredible. You must be so proud.
It's lovely seeing it with all of you, because I'm not here to do the Q&A. I just was going to come and watch the fans' reaction, and then someone spotted I was on the, well, you did on the guest list. I was just going to sit at the back.
Wasn't going to do that.
And then I was asked to do this, so I just was going to watch your listen to your reactions from the back and get a kind of measure of how the fans, who are so very important to this, felt seeing their show on the big screen.
Because what you might not realise is the reason this has happened is all because of Tom. This event, other stuff we have lined up, Tom makes it happen. Tom is always the one to, introduce us to Amazon, and he really does value the fan community, and we do appreciate that a lot. So thank you.
Well, thank you for having me.
So we're going to start way back in your career. Well, not that you're that old. And I just want to know what your inspirations and motivations were when you got into storytelling and script writing, and what advice would you give to any budding young writers?
Well, I was really lucky, because my favourite writer when I started out, and the most influential person on me, was Russell T Davies, who wrote Chris Folk and like Doctor Who. And when I was like 19, I went to a book signing that Russell did, and I just made him mentor me. And he did, and he took me on to Doctor Who, and he brought it back, and completely changed my life. And I still, there's bits of him in Jamie, I still see it, and I actually rewatched Queer as Folk not that long ago, And I thought, oh God, I stole so much of it. Even names of characters. Yeah, it all comes from him. So, and he was at the press night in Sheffield, so unfortunately he can't be at the premiere. But he's been the biggest influence, creatively and personally, I think, on me. Yeah.
And recently, obviously, It's a Sin. That was his, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he hasn't heard the new song yet. This Was Me, which I can't wait to share with him, because it's like I've said I didn't talk to him about writing that song. He didn't talk to me about writing It's a Sin, but we're definitely on the same kind of page about trying to tell those stories now in a way that I think makes the modern audience kind of get a sense of what was going on then. Because
made you, whose idea was that? Was that you? Was that Dan? To add This Was Me?
So in the stage show, have you all seen the stage show? And it's just opened last night on tour, if you haven't got your tickets. With Leighton. And in the stage show, when Jamie says to Hugo, what was it like? Hugo comes up with kind of a lie, kind of a truth, but he paints it as this big bombastic kind of fantasy number. And the point of that song, in terms of the storytelling, is to say to Jamie, you need to create a persona. And that's what the Legend of Loco Chanel and the Blood Red Dress does. It creates that bit of story plot. And Dan and Johnny and I kind of talked about, well, what if in the movie, when Jamie says to Hugo what happened, Hugo just tells him the truth. And in the stage show, we'd had this idea that when we did the Legend of Loco Chanel song, we were going to project kind of like crackly VHS on it, so you get a sense you're watching these old tapes. And we tried it in previews, and it just looked like it was snowing. So we got rid of that, but we always had our wish list of when we do the movie, we'll meet Cheryl, things like that. And so we got to kind of do that big song and also write it for the screen, because it is very, you've got the story of the lyrics, which is kind of one thing, and then you've got the story of the pictures of what's going on, which is very carefully worked out in the stage directions, and there was a lot of planning to make that happen, to make it happen well. And so it's kind of a chance to really, for us all to, when I say all, me and Dan and Johnny, to flex our screen muscles and see what we could do with a brand new moment that was designed specifically for cinema. Because all the other songs to some extent are an adaptation, and I think they work well, but we wanted to do something that was just for the film.
And John was brilliant as young Loco.
And John was brilliant, and also I'm in that, and Dan. That's our cameo, the drag nuns, if you see it, just for ones. That's me and Dan when it cuts from if it's the first exterior, as we cut to the outside and there's the two of us walking along. That was the first shot of the first day, and that street was opposite the Crucible Theatre. So it was a very auspicious first day.
Well, we'll all be watching out for you next time we see it. But what was your personal role in the process of actually filming it? Were you there on set every day?
I was there every day. Dan was gigging at the time, because we were supposed to do things like that. And so he was there quite a lot. Johnny and I were in a flat together. And so I was just there all the time to do rewrites. We lost Ray's car at one point, so the scene when they're walking, I don't mean like we couldn't find it, as in for some reason we couldn't have it. And so when they're walking along talking about her fucking the guy at the car wash, that I think I wrote that like that morning, because we had to pull it together really quick and that's actually a really nice moment, and I showed her I liked it. So I was just that kind of there, and also to be like a cheerleader on set, and to be the kind of, to represent the stage show, and just to kind of keep everyone ticking along. It was a very happy set, and we all had a really nice time, and I think part of that was because Dan and Johnny and I were always very approachable, which, believe me, a lot of people aren't. And also they're my best friends, and that's not fake, so people always responded well to that. And yeah, so that was my role, was just to keep everyone happy and keep it ticking along.
You mentioned adapting it from the stage show. How did you go about maintaining some of the Sheffieldisms and the northern heart of it, while also making it, accessible to an international audience?
Well, Carol Vorderman's coming to the premiere, and I'm going to have to break to her that she's been replaced with Pre-Breakdown Brittany. Because as much as we love her, and I'm thrilled to say I've actually got to become friends with her because of that joke, because the Americans wouldn't get that. So the chocolate bar stuff isn't even there. But when we open in LA in January, the stage show, I'm trying to work out, because I live in the States, what is the equivalent chocolate bar that would work, because they don't have Twixes, I think. And Maltesers they don't really have. So trying to work out like stuff like that, but it's to change as little as possible, but just make sure that what you do change is the right thing, because you don't want to leave people behind. Like, we don't say mingers in it, the chant on the stage, minga, minga, because Americans don't know what that is. And I was like, I think you can kind of guess what it is, so you don't need to know, but we settled on Freak Show. And so I don't know yet in the stage show whether it'll be Mings or Freak Show. It will be pre-Breakdown Britney in LA. And yeah, so you take it case by case, but the heart is on Sheffield, like that's just there, isn't it?
So what character was the most difficult to translate? That's what a couple of people actually asked that.
I think Miss Hedge, because Sharon wanted her to be a proper three-dimensional character, and to get an actor as good as Sharon Horgan, you have to offer her like some meat in the part. And trying to work out how to make her feel maybe more approachable than in a stage show, that you get to kind of understand why she's not a bad person, she thinks what she's doing is right. And be able to have that moment in the prom where Jamie and her just share a look. I think shot on completely different days, but I believe it when I watch it, that her journey's kind of come around because she's not wrong to say, Jamie, you're an annoying little shit. That's why it's an interesting story, because he becomes the antagonist in Act 3. And she points that out to him. We did go further with that, actually, when Pretty says in the bedroom, sometimes you say things that upset people. That's actually picking up on a line which we cut, which was where, when she says to him, Jamie, what are you doing? He says, I can't remember exactly, we did film it, but something along the lines of, oh, I'll make even you look good. And our test audiences did not like him after that, so it was too far. So you have to rein him back. But that's the voice of Miss Hedge saying that's too much. And Jamie's not supposed to be a perfect hero, he is a flawed character. So trying to work out how you could keep her side and his side at the same time, and then see them both resolve together. And it was quite subtle, but it was a lot of work doing that. I think I rewrote all of her interactions more than anyone else did.
Yeah, I think that's really visible on the screen. It is there is a meaty role, yeah, and Sharon does it really well.
Yeah, thank you.
You've written for screen before. You've written, quite a lot of TV. Did that make it easier to do this than to do the West End musical in Sheffield as well?
Well, this is my first film, which is quite a different thing from doing TV. I mean, I've done like feature length for TV, it's about 90 minutes, but doing the full hour 20 or hour 10, whatever this is quite different. I'd never written theatre before in my life, so that was kind of slightly terrifying. But I had Johnny there, because I'd say, well, how do you get from one scene to another if you don't cut? And sometimes he'd say, well, you need to be conscious, and other times he'd say, just write what you want, we'll figure it out. The whole disabled toilet scene on stage was supposed to be impossible to do, but we found a way of doing it. So I was just learning a lot doing that. The film was more familiar territory, but the stage show didn't have to do anything. We just wrote it for us. We didn't try and write a hit. And then it was a hit, and then the movie had to be really good. So that's quite a different thing. It's not like, oh, what do I think is funny? What does Dan think is funny? Does Johnny like this bit? It's something we had to be aware of all of you, and we didn't know who you were when we did the stage show. There weren't any of you. There was a point, I remember watching press coverage of the stage show, and it'd be a question on pointless, and it was a pointless answer, thank you everyone for that. Oh, that tipping point thing. And they'd say, oh, just on the news, with chat shows, if they talked about Jamie, they'd say, well, everybody's talking about Jamie, it's a musical about a drag queen, a boy who wants to be a drag queen. And then after a few months, they just say, everyone's talking about Jamie. And whoever it was, Lorraine or whoever on her sofa, didn't need to explain what it was anymore, because the assumption was everybody knew. And I remember that kind of happening, thinking, oh God, everyone knows who we are, and like we were at answers on quiz shows. And when it becomes that, it's quite a different thing to kind of manage still, because suddenly it's not just ours, it belongs to all these people that we don't know, and you've got to do right by them. So there's a different pressure.
And that's now an international thing.
Time for all of this, so it's kind of strange of being out there. I think I won't really get used to the idea that it exists until, I don't know, we have to do it for a long time. But then maybe it'll be the same, that suddenly we'll find that we're cropping up all over the place again, or maybe it won't, I don't know. I hope people like it. I mean, I know you do, but I hope people who haven't already seen the stage show like it, but I don't know, they might not.
So I've got one more question, and I don't know if you'll be able to answer it really, or if you'll have an answer, but what is in the pipeline for Jamie then? What happens after this? Let's say the film obviously takes over the world, everyone loves it, what happens then?
Well, we've got a schools edition coming out, and I think I rewrote it, I defuckified the script. Even the, are you fucking kidding? So there's only fucker allowed, was are you fucking kidding me? And we shot one alternate where Becca or Bex, whichever one says, oh, you said fuck with the other ones, or you dropped the F-bomb, and we kept the F-bomb. Thank God for chuff. because that is a great Sheffieldism which really fills in the gaps. So I chuffed up the schools version, and we made the harmonic parts a bit easier. So I think we've got the first performance of that in October or November this year. There's a school that our publishers pick to try things out. So there's that going out into the world. Other stage productions around the world that I don't think are announced. So we've got Australia whenever that sorts itself out, the Australia-New Zealand tour. And there's a couple of other things that I don't think I can mention. Sorry.
I don't think you can, or?
Well, I mean, I don't know who'll be angry if I do. I don't want to piss off Nika Burns. And the other thing is kind of my baby, so I guess I shouldn't piss off me. But there'll be more. Well, it depends how well this does. The better this does, the more there'll be.
Well, you know we'll all be here, ready to support whatever happens. And yeah, that is all we have time for. But thank you so much, Tom. Thank you for making this happen. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for coming.